The purpose of this video is to inspire viewers to find a holistic way to heal from diseases, especially they have been through conventional healthcare systems, however they are not improving but keep suffering. Hi, my name is Benny Lee. I'm the author of the book called Watch the Mouth. Some of you know that many years ago I used to have osteoarthritis, colorectal cancer and type 2 diabetes. After realizing that the medicines and operations I had were just treating symptoms, not the cause of my diseases, while giving me many negative side effects, I decided to find out the root cause of my diseases and to find ways to heal naturally without medicines, which I succeeded in reversing all my diseases within 6 months. So I've been asked so many times, how did I heal from arthritis, cancer and diabetes? In this video, I'd like to share with you how. But first, we need to find out the root cause of our diseases before it's too late. Now let's discuss cancer. Cancer is a symptoms of something has gone wrong inside our body. Cancer is a collection of more than 100 different diseases identified by the growth of too many bad cells in our body. Cancer is caused by changes or mutations to the DNA within cells. According to WHO, or World Health Organization, cancer is the leading cause of death worldwide, accounting for nearly 10 million deaths in 2020, or nearly 1 in 6 deaths. And the most common cancer is breast, lung, colon, rectum, and prostate cancers. Then we need to ask, what causes the changes and mutations to our DNA? What causes the damages to our cells or the growth of too many bad cells in our body? Most doctors and scientists don't know what causes our diseases. Some believe certain diseases are caused by certain things, i.e. smoking causes lung cancer, exposure to sun causes skin cancer, excessive alcohol consumption causes liver cancer and diabetes, etc. But some beliefs are misguided, i.e. consuming good sugars cause diabetes, confusing symptoms for causes of diseases, etc. When they are not sure or don't know what causes certain diseases, they call them autoimmune disease or say it is hereditary or it is genetic. So what is autoimmune disease? It is a disorder where our immune system creates antibodies that attack our healthy cells or tissues as if they were bacteria or viruses or some other foreign objects in our bodies, causing inflammation and cell damage or death of cells. Doctors and scientists don't know why. I believe that the main cause for autoimmune disease is that we eat too many processed, refined foods laden with chemicals, i.e. natural flavors, also known as artificial flavor, additives, preservatives, synthetic vitamin C that acts as a preservatives, and that we take too many prescribed medicines and supplements. They are also so processed, laden with chemicals, additives, and preservatives, synthetic drugs, synthetic hormones, synthetic steroids, and synthetic vaccines. Not only these are also unnatural because they are not created by our own bodies but chemically derived, but also have many nasty negative side effects. That is why our immune system reacts to attack as if they were harmful foreign things in our bodies, cells, tissues, glands, and organs. So it is a myth that autoimmune disease is not reversible but can only be managed through harsh medications or other medical procedures that merely mask your symptoms. I believe autoimmune disease is a sign that something deeper is going wrong in your body, and by getting into the root cause, then you can reverse your condition and live a symptom-free life by watching what you put into your mouth. These are the common autoimmune diseases. Meanwhile, thyroiditis and lupus mostly affect women. Let me give you examples of putting medicines or prescription drugs into our mouth that can cause diseases. Most prescription drugs just treat symptoms, at the same time cause many negative side effects. Not only you are unlikely to heal from the original diseases, but also you are likely be diagnosed with new diseases caused by the many negative side effects. Then be prescribed with more medicines, then you'll be stuck in a vicious cycle taking multiple drugs for the rest of your life until you die. For example, some drugs can block reabsorption of serotonin. Taking too many drugs can cause tremors, insomnia, and jerky movements of the arms and legs. These symptoms are often mistaken for Parkinson's disease. So drugs for Parkinson's are added, then the vicious cycle continues. We may also know that prescription drugs come with warnings if people are bothered to read their labels and the fine prints, i.e. if you take the drugs, you may have such and such allergic reactions, negative side effects, etc. And the drug may negatively interfere with the other drugs and supplements you are taking, or other drugs and supplements may disrupt its functions. Now you can imagine what they don't warn you about, that the chemicals in the drugs would also inflame our organs, damage cells, compromise our DNAs, and interfere with the functions of our endocrine system, i.e. decrease or damage their functionalities, which may lead to many diseases. Next, examples of foods we put into our mouth that cause diseases. Ever since the last century, consumers have been eating lots of processed and refined foods. They often contain many unhealthy ingredients, i.e. additives, bad sugars, chemicals, and preservatives. The same goes for medicines, health products, or supplements, which are also heavily processed or refined. Just read their labels and ingredients, and you can see that they are laden with chemicals, bad sugars, additives, and preservatives. Long-term daily consumption of large amounts of processed refined foods, medicines, and supplements can have a negative impact on our body, producing undesirable and harmful effects. They can lead to many of our diseases. I call this phenomenon nanicephomas, which stands for nasty negative side effects from processed foods, medicines, and supplements. Here's an analogy. Preservatives are like chemotherapy. The preservatives or the chemicals in food kill the bacteria in the food. At the same time, also destroy nutrients in food. So when we eat such processed foods that contain preservatives, the chemicals also damage or kill many of the good cells in our body. That is the negative consequence of eating a lot of processed food without paying attention to our mouth. Meanwhile, chemotherapy kills cancer cells, which is the symptoms of cancer. But at the same time, it's also damage or kill many good cells in our body. That is the collateral damage, the negative side effects. In short, foods, medicines, and supplements, and synthetic drugs, hormones, vaccines can alter or damage the DNA of our cells, disturb our hormone-making glands, and cause many types of cancer and disease. However, we are bombarded with many information from the media, doctors, bloggers, governments, lobby, or self-interest group, etc., with a lot of confusing, contradictory misinformation. For example, they say cancer can be caused of lack of exercise. Drugs are safe and effective in curing this or that, etc. Some are very misleading, but we are really told that the main cause of cancer is the processed and refined foods, drugs or medicines, and supplements we put into our mouths. We also need to be aware that the controlling elites often create something to blame. For examples, by blaming leaky gut for many of our illnesses, where there's no such thing as leaky gut syndrome. They also blame gluten and nightshade food that cause inflammation in our body, where gluten and such foods have been consumed by us for thousands of years without issue. Then they also blame sugar and carbohydrate for causing diabetes, etc. To shift our attention so we will not blame the bad ingredients and chemicals they use in making the foods, medicines, and supplements for causing so many of our diseases. Now, please let me show you examples of specific foods and ingredients that cause cancer. First, it is wine. Their marketing gimmicks have successfully made many consumers believe drinking wine is healthy. It improves our blood circulation, etc. According to US CDC, Center for Disease Control, that there have been many studies that show evidence of all alcoholic drinks, including red or white wine, beer, and liquor, are linked to many types of cancer. In my opinion, more men have prostate cancer as men tend to drink more beers. More women have breast cancers as women tend to drink more wines. Meanwhile, contraceptive pills and hormone replacement therapy, both have synthetic hormones, will be the main culprit of breast cancer, in addition to drinking wine. While lung cancer may be caused by air pollution or smoking, then the chemicals, i.e. sodium nitrite, used in processed meat causes colon or colorectal cancer, leukemia, and brain cancer, while unhealthy food, alcohol, synthetic medicines also cause many other diseases, including prostate cancer. In short, chemicals in processed foods, medicines, and supplements, synthetic drugs, hormones, steroid, and vaccine alter our cells' DNA, interfere with our glands that make hormones, causing many types of cancer and other diseases. We have been told drinking wine is healthy. Wine market is even savvier in successfully promoting widespread daily wine drinking throughout most of the world, especially for women. Drinking red wine not only cool, but also healthy. Just like in the past, men smoking is cool. They also promote white wine should be paired with white meat, i.e. fish or chicken. And red wine should be paired with red meat, i.e. beef or pork. These are just marketing gimmicks to promote more wine sales. Meanwhile, some winemakers do not disclose that the preservatives in their wine, the added chemical called sulfites, can cause cancer and many other diseases. However, some winemakers do not even say their wines contain preservatives, while some only show you a fancy name like preservative 220 added without telling you what is 220, or just say contains sulfite without elaborating it. Now let's take a look at these pictures. On the left is white wine Sauvignon Blanc from California, USA, and on the right is the red wine Cabernet Sauvignon from Chile. Both have warnings that their wines have been added with sulfites, the preservatives. That is why the wines can be stored at room temperature for years without spoilage. Second example, the carcinogenic food ingredients called sodium nitrite that food manufacturers added or injected to the meat or fish to make their foods look fresh and appealing, i.e. with red or pink color, and to preserve their fish or meat. Most consumers don't know what is the natural color of ham. The answer is gray or 50 Shades of Grey. But why we always see ham in the grocery stores pink or red color? To make them more visually appealing. Food manufacturers put sodium nitrite, a chemical that acts as a preservative as well as coloring agent, to make their foods appearing in pink or reddish color. See pictures below for examples of food label for ham and pepperoni where their ingredients are full of harmful, unhealthy stuff. The most alarming is the sodium nitrite, which is different from the natural occurring sodium nitrate. The synthetically made preservative sodium nitrite fights harmful bacteria in ham, salami, hot dog, bacon, sausage, and other processed and cured meats. It adds salty flavor, also lends them their pink coloration. However, under certain conditions in the human body, nitrite can damage cells and also morph into molecules that cause cancer. Sodium nitrite in the food we eat will mutate and damage our DNA and cells from our stomach all the way to the end of our intestines. The mutated chemical is called nitrosamines, which is genotoxic, that damage DNA, and carcinogenic, that causes cancer. Sodium nitrite in processed food and cured meat has been linked to colorectal cancer, diabetes, leukemia, brain cancer, heart, liver, and kidney diseases, etc. Why are we not told about it? Because big food manufacturers and their lobbies suppress these findings from being disclosed to consumers. So you will continue to eat bacon, ham, hot dogs, sausages, etc. Third example is vitamin C supplement, that many consumers put a lot of vitamin C supplements and food or drinks enriched with vitamin C into their mouth. But most of consumers don't know such vitamin C is a synthetic vitamin C chemically derived from GMO corn that also acts as a preservative, aka ascorbic acid. Nearly all vitamin C supplements are made from ascorbic acid. So such vitamin is synthetic or not natural. While many juices are loaded up with ascorbic acids, then claim on their labels that their juice is rich in vitamin C. Some scientific studies already link synthetic vitamin C to cancer causing. And even American Heart Association found consumption of only 500 grams of vitamin C supplement per day has a propensity towards thickening of the arteries, which may have dire consequences on our health. Another thing to avoid, aspartame, as it is known to cause cancer. These artificial sweeteners are added in 0 calories and 0 sugars food and beverage. Now, what foods are good to prevent or counter cancer? The most common, inexpensive, widely available foods are the fresh fruits. All fruits are acidic and rich of antioxidant properties. Most people have heard of antioxidant but don't know what it really means. Antioxidants are found in plant foods. They are natural molecules that protect cells from the damage caused by free radicals. They help neutralize harmful free radicals in our bodies. So an antioxidant is a substance which slows down the damage that can cause to other substances by the effects of oxygen. So what are the harmful free radicals? In layman terms, they are the cancerous cells, unstable molecules made by the process of oxidation during normal metabolism. Foods which contain antioxidants have vitamin C, vitamin E, and beta-carotene, and they counteract the damaging effects of oxidation in living organisms, i.e. our growing cells. Unfortunately, people have been consuming a lot of alpha-lipoic acid or ALA supplement for antioxidant benefit instead of eating real fresh fruits with natural antioxidant properties, because ALA tablet or capsules is the unnatural antioxidant that is so processed. So natural foods rich in antioxidant properties may help fight and prevent cancer. So if we eat a lot of natural foods rich in antioxidants, we could ward off cancer and many other diseases naturally. You have heard of the sage, an apple a day keep doctors away. However, if the doctor is cute, I'd rather keep the doctor. So an apple not only boosts your natural immune system, fight cold or flu, but also ward off many illnesses, including cancer, as apple is acidic and has many antioxidant properties. So if we want to heal from cancer, we need to find out the root cause of our disease. Don't confuse symptoms for cause, i.e. cancer is a symptom of disease. A sign something deeper is going on in our body. Then take remedial actions quickly before it is too late. Then watch our mouth, reduce or eliminate processed food, medications and supplements, but eat a lot of natural foods, fresh fruits and vegetables with high fiber diet. Then we have a chance to heal, regain and maintain our health. Now let's talk about diabetes. What causes it and how to heal from it? Strictly speaking, there are only 2 types of diabetes. Type 1 and Type 2 diabetes. But some genius marketers invented more categories to promote more drugs or insulin sales, i.e. pre-diabetes, Type 3 diabetes, aka dementia, Type 4 diabetes, and gestational diabetes in pregnant women. Type 1 diabetes is also known as insulin deficient, while Type 2 diabetes is also known as insulin resistant. Insulin is a hormone made by our pancreas that acts like a key to turn food into nutrients and energy, which is the metabolism process. Insulin deficient means our pancreas cannot produce insulin or cannot produce enough insulin. for our body to properly metabolize what we put into our mouth. Insulin resistant means our pancreas does produce enough insulin, but our insulin doesn't work or is not effective in carrying out its metabolism process. Majority of type 1 diabetic sufferers become diabetic from young age, while traditionally majority of type 2 diabetic sufferers become diabetic from middle age. However, we now see younger population, including adolescents and young children, also get type 2 diabetes due to their unhealthy diet. So injecting insulin to type 1 diabetes persons do help them manage the diabetes. Injecting insulin to type 2 diabetes persons do not help but exacerbate their health issues. Most people don't know what causes type 1 diabetes. Doctors and scientists call it an autoimmune disease. Some believe you're born with it, but I believe it is caused by cow's milk, whether it's fresh milk or from powdered milk. The dairy industry says infants and young children need to drink cow's milk daily to be healthy. It promotes stronger bone and body development. But cow's milk has hormone that compromises some children's pancreas ability to produce enough insulin or not at all. This is a controversial topic, as any scientific or medical research that support cow's milk as the cause, it is against the powerful dairy industry, so it is unlikely you will see any report or scientific study in the public that may lead to people not drinking cow's milk or reducing their consumption. Since I've healed myself from type 2 diabetes and more than 95% of all diabetic people live with type 2 diabetes, so in this video, we shall focus on its causes and how to heal yourself from type 2 diabetes. For your information, I've been yelled at by doctors, nurses, and scientists that once you are diabetic, you are forever diabetic. You cannot reverse your diabetes, you can only manage your diabetes. Meanwhile, most doctors and nurses still inject insulin on type 2 diabetes patients. Such misguided assertion and entrenched belief won't help type 2 diabetic patients to heal, instead will exacerbate their health issues. So, glucose in our blood is just the symptoms of diabetes. Good and natural sugar does not cause type 2 diabetes nor obesity. Refined carbohydrate is the real culprit for type 2 diabetes and insulin resistance. There is another misguided belief that sugar is the main cause for type 2 diabetes, followed by other beliefs, i.e. lack of exercise and obesity, or it is hereditary. To help us dispel the obesity misguided belief, consider sumo wrestlers who are all obese, but how many of them have type 2 diabetes? The answer is probably none of them. Then there are many fit athletes or people who exercise a lot, who also eat a lot of processed foods and supplements, and skinny people also live with type 2 diabetes. For your information, I've been skinny all my life. My grandfather, my mother, aunt and uncle who have diabetes were all skinny people. To help us heal from diabetes, we need to dispel the myth that sugar causes diabetes. Sugar or glucose in our blood is just the symptoms of diabetes. Good natural sugar doesn't cause diabetes nor obesity. Then what all old or new diabetic drugs do is to control or reduce or manipulate the blood sugar levels, which is treating symptoms, not the cause of diabetes. Meanwhile, the most common diabetic drug is metformin. It is not only ineffective, but also has many negative side effects, i.e. bloated stomach, diarrhea, nausea, swollen legs, etc. According to US FDA, Food and Drug Administration, report in May 2020, some diabetic drugs are carcinogen. That means cancer-causing agent. Now you can see the compounding negative side effects from taking prescribed medicines, that not only your diabetes is not cured, but you also get cancer. Since sugar is not a real cause, what is? The real cause for type 2 diabetes or insulin resistance is the daily processed food we put into our mouth. Such food is loaded with refined carbohydrate. So in order to heal, it is very crucial that we need to differentiate between the good carbohydrate, aka carbohydrate from natural food, i.e. fresh fruits and vegetables, and the bad carbohydrate, aka the refined carbohydrate from processed foods. So what is refined carbohydrate? It is the bad or simple carbohydrate, which includes refined processed sugar and refined grains that have been stripped of all bran, fiber, and nutrients that are used in making bread, pizza, pasta, pastries, desserts, breakfast cereals, etc. Even if you are an athlete, physically active or skinny, but if your daily diet is laden with refined carbohydrate, you would get type 2 diabetes too. If your food is full of good carbohydrate, i.e. fresh fruits and vegetables, high in fiber, you wouldn't get diabetes even if you don't do exercise and may have a slim, fit body too. Then the hereditary link belief, it may be relevant because we have the same cultures as our parents, uncles, and aunts have, that we lead similar lifestyles and have similar eating habits, eat similar foods, i.e. the processed refined foods. But if you change your diet to eating mostly fresh fruits and vegetables, you shall break the link that type 2 diabetes is not hereditary but dietary. Moreover, type 2 diabetes diabetes is not a chronic disease. Rather, it is a cultural or dietary disease and therefore curable if we change our diet. In my Watch the Mouth book, I discuss what diet is helpful and not helpful in healing from type 2 diabetes and in regaining and maintaining our health. Alternatively, you can watch my video about how to live a life free from diabetes. The link is in the description. Since we now know the real cause for type 2 diabetes is excessive consumption of refined carbohydrate that prevent our insulin from functioning, hence named insulin resistant. So injecting insulin for type 2 diabetes will not help, as your own insulin or the injected insulin cannot do their jobs anyway, i.e. to convert our food into nutrients and energy. Food that is not converted or not metabolized properly become fat and glucose that enter our bloodstream. The metabolism of carbohydrate, fat and proteins take place in the liver. It receives digestive products in the form of glucose, amino acids, fatty acids and glycerol. While the function of insulin is to help the liver to convert the digestive products, i.e. glucose and fat in food, into nutrients and energy. If the insulin is ineffective or resistant, the unconverted glucose and fat go to our bloodstream. Hence the glucose in our blood and fat that clogs up our arteries that eventually lead to heart disease. So what does insulin resistant mean exactly?
Here's the metaphor.
Imagine insulin, the hormone that converts our food into nutrients and energy. The metabolic or digestive process is the key that opens a door to enter a room, i.e. our liver. Now imagine the refined carbohydrate is the chewing gum,
But the keyholes are blocked by chewing gum, which is the refined carbohydrate. So all the keys, which is our own or injected insulins, are being resisted.
from opening the door to enter the room to do its job, i.e. to convert digested food into nutrient and energy. Our body can metabolize fresh and natural food properly, but cannot metabolize processed refined food properly because they are laden with refined carbohydrate, chemicals, additives, preservatives, plus bad sugars. So insulin resistance means your own or injected insulin is ineffective or not working. Now you can see if you are given with more keys by injecting more insulin to your body in addition to your own body's insulin will not help, as all the keyholes are still blocked, so no doors can be opened. Conclusion is, injecting insulin for type 2 diabetes patient is so wrong. By the way, the liver is the vital organ that aids in metabolism, digestion, detoxifying, and the production of many proteins needed by the body. So our liver also processes the medicine and supplements we put it through our mouth. And because medicine and supplements are also so processed, they too contribute to insulin resistance, i.e. type 2 diabetes. When food is not metabolized properly, most of the digested food is converted into fat and sugar that goes into our bloodstreams, hence the glucose in our blood, the symptoms of diabetes. And the fat causes fat buildup in our liver as well as in our blood vessels that hinders the blood flow that leads to high blood pressure. That is why fatty liver and coronary heart problem go hand in hand with diabetes, and that the narrow blood vessels cause less oxygen in our blood arteries and restriction in our blood flow that in turn cause many complications to many parts of our body, i.e. kidney failure, heart attack, stroke, dementia, blindness, amputation, etc. So insulin job is to help our liver to convert our food into nutrients. Then you may have heard of GLP-1. So what is GLP-1? It is a class of drugs or injections commonly called glucagon-like peptide 1 or GLP-1 agonists, a drug that may lead to weight loss and improve blood sugar level for type 2 diabetes sufferers. The makers of GLP-1 claim that it is a hormone manipulation drug. GLP-1 is a mimicking hormone that your small intestine makes. So the drug will trigger insulin release from your pancreas. This medication is relatively new. Researchers are still learning about its effectiveness and negative side effects. The most famous GLP-1 drug or brand is Ozempic. Remember, type 2 diabetes persons can produce enough insulin naturally, just their insulin is not effective, hence named insulin resistant. So injecting insulin or drug to trigger insulin production will not help type 2 diabetes. The claim that it will lower your blood sugar level is that glucagon is a hormone that prevents more glucose from going into your bloodstream as it slows down your digestion, that your body releases less glucose from food to the bloodstream. But this claim is questionable, as slowing down digestion, just slowing down glucose release, but the end result is the same blood glucose level. Then the claim on weight loss is that GLP-1 affects areas of your brain that process hunger
hunger and appetite. It will reduce your food intake so that it may have effects on weight loss. In addition to many less severe side effects, i.e. headache, nausea, diarrhea, etc., known severe side effects of GLP-1 are pancreatitis, thyroid cancer, kidney injury, diabetes-related retinopathy, etc. In any event, GLP-1 is a drug, a chemical substance that manipulates our brain to treat symptoms, i.e. it mimics the actions of a neurotransmitter or hormone to produce a response when it binds to a specific receptor in the brain, just like opioid drugs do to us. So I suggest that the safest and most effective way to treat diabetes and obesity is to stay away from drugs. Watch our mouth, change our diets, avoid processed foods as they are laden with refined carbohydrate. That is the main reason for the glucose and the fat buildup. It is unfortunate that most people blame sugar and think all sugars are bad, as to them there is no such thing as good sugar, while they don't know that refined carbohydrate, i.e. the actual bad sugar in processed food, is the real culprit for type 2 diabetes. If we can understand that glucose in our blood is just the symptoms of diabetes and want to find out the real cause of diabetes, find out what is refined carbohydrate and which sugar types are bad, then we have a good chance of healing from type 2 diabetes. Despite some misguided doctors, nurses, and scientists will yell at you saying that you cannot reverse your diabetes, you can only manage your diabetes. Perhaps you also have been told to avoid high glycemic index food as it spikes up your blood glucose and causes diabetes. And the higher the index, the higher is the blood glucose. These two are so misguided. Glycemic index, or GI, is a scale out of 100 that ranks a carbohydrate containing food or drink by how much it raised blood glucose after it's been eaten or drunk. Although real pure honey and most fruits have high glycemic indexes, but they are good for our body as they are natural. So it doesn't matter if they spike up our blood glucose, which is only temporary, as our body then metabolizes them into nutrients and energy, and they help regulate our blood sugar. High glycemic index food that is natural is not to be avoided, as we have been led to believe they are bad. It doesn't matter how high the index is, you can eat as many as you can as long as the sugar is naturally occurring in food and they wouldn't cause diabetes nor obesity, but nutrients to our body and brain to make us healthy. Our body metabolizes pure honey and fresh fruits and vegetables perfectly and naturally, but our body struggles to do so with processed food or drink laden with refined carbohydrates, which includes bad sugar. Blood sugar will spike up on the individuals that consume or have accumulated fat in the body or cells and blood vessels due to eating excessive refined carbohydrate, regardless of whether the food they eat is low or high in glycemic index. So it is not how much sugar we consume, but it is how much bad sugar we eat that matters. So to prevent type 2 diabetes, infants and children should avoid cow's milk. And to prevent getting type 2 diabetes, we should avoid eating processed food, refined carbohydrate. Instead, we should eat lots of unprocessed fresh fruits and vegetables and don't care about their glycemic indexes. Finally, how did I heal from osteoarthritis? My doctor told me there is no cure for such disease, that we can only manage the inflammation by taking painkiller or steroid to reduce inflammation, which is the symptom. But steroids induces insulin resistance, as steroids also stop glucose being absorbed by muscle and fat in the body, so it circulates in the bloodstream. Steroids reduce the body's sensitivity to insulin, and therefore more insulin is required to transport the glucose into the cells. Now you can see the vicious cycle and the compound negative side effects of healthcare. Fortunately, by watching my mouth, by avoiding processed refined foods, medicines and supplements, and by changing my diet into eating more fresh fruits and vegetables, including nightshade that has been blamed for causing inflammation, i.e. chilies, coupled with daily stretching exercise, I was able to reverse my osteoarthritis. Last but not least, chili is not only rich in antioxidant, but also promotes blood circulation versus the unproven drinking wine claim. Evidence is that after we have eaten spicy food, we perspire. It is the natural sauna without going to sauna. So to conclude, it is paramount to our health that we find out the root causes for our diseases, discover how foods, medicines and supplements are made, what are their ingredients whenever possible, avoid putting them into our mouth. Instead, consume more natural and unprocessed foods, and we generally don't need medicines and supplements to be healthy. In a nutshell, inflammation, blood glucose and cancer cells are symptoms of diseases.
That most diseases are reversible if we watch our mouth. Please like, comment, share and subscribe to help my channel grow and for more inspirational, life-changing videos. If you wish to find out more about my Watch the Mouth book, the link is in the description. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video. Bye.